Well, shalom, shalom. I just want to welcome everyone today to the conference call. And this is Barbara serving as your host today. And today I'm in Tennessee with Brother Pete. And Brother Pete is your co-host.
And I'm wonderful to have Barb here with Sally and I. And we're just real excited about this lesson.
Okay, so you probably heard this question. What is day 30 on a lunar month? This is something a lot of people ask. Is it a new moon day? Is it a non-day? Is it a work day? What are translation days? So translation days or transition days, like new moons, have no direct correlation in the modern solar calendar. However, it is necessary to understand what they are in order to have a clear comprehension of Yah's calendar. So, translation day is an astronomical term that is not found in Scripture. However, the fact that the biblical months were based on the cycles of the moon is sufficient proof that they existed in the biblical calendar. And according to the United States Naval Observatory, a lunation is 29.5 days long. Generally speaking, this equates to every other month having 29 days, and off months have 30 days. A lunation never has less than 29 days or more than 30 days, and this is demonstrable astronomical fact. So, astronomers use the term translation day to designate the 30th day of a lunation. It falls at the end of a lunar cycle on the black moon when the moon cannot be seen. So, are there non-days on a lunar calendar? Well, translation days are not non-days. They have a date, the 30th of every 30-day month.
The Creator's calendar bases each month on the movement of the moon. Each month begins with the new moon. The week, beginning a division of the month, restarts its cycle every new moon. The Hebrew month is a lunar month, and the quarter of this period, one phase of the moon, appears to have determined the week of 7 days. The Hebrew Sabbath was celebrated at intervals of 7 days corresponding with the changes of the moon's phases. This from Encyclopedia Britannica, reference given. This is the hardest point to comprehend when first beginning to study the calendar of creation. The modern solar calendar is a continuous weekly cycle. The calendar of creation does not or is not.
So the modern calendar has months ranging in length from 28 days to 31 days, and the months are not tied to anything in nature. Consequently, the week cycles continuously and without interruption from one month to the next, from 1 year to the next.
New moons are significant components of the biblical method of timekeeping, since they are the point in time at which the weekly cycle restarts for that month. The phrase new moon in Scripture comes from the Hebrew word Chodesh. The New Strong's Exhaustive Concordance of the Bible defines Chodesh as, quote, the new moon, by implication, a month. The New Strong's Expanded Dictionary of the Bible words expounds on this, explaining, quote, Chodesh can refer to a month or a period from which one month to another, or the period from one new moon to another. In a related nuance, the word also refers not so much to a measure of time as to a period of time or a calendar month.
So, Scripture contains multiple references to new moons as the day on which the new month began. The extremely close correlation of the month as a period of time linked to a lunation of the moon can be seen in the fact that there are even more scriptural references which use the word Chodesh to refer to a calendar month than there are to its use as the first day of the month. Chodesh is used 20 times in the Bible to refer to the first day of the new lunation, and it's used 251 times to refer to a calendar month or lunation. So a lunar month never has more than 30 days, and it's never shorter than 29 days. And you see the two calendars up here. It could be a 29-day month or a 30-day month. Thus, the day following the 30th, which is always new moon, always begins the new month. And there are occasionally consecutive months that have 29 days.
Transition days are not non-days. All time must be accounted for. Thus, translation days are not non-days, as some have suggested. They have a date, the 30th of every 30-day month. The 30th of the month, like the first of the month, was not part of the 7-day weekly cycle. However, it was counted and did have a date. Because time itself is continuous, many have believed that the system by which time is calculated must also, by default, be continuous. This is an error of assumption. Originally, all ancient calendars were lunar solar, with the weekly cycle of varying lengths, restarting every new moon. Chronologists date the first calendar with a continuous weekly cycle to Babylon around 600 BC. Prior to that time, no calendar utilized a weekly cycle that had no interruption. The weekly cycle restarted at the beginning of the month or lunation.
So confusion over translation days has led some people to reject the biblical lunar solar calendar. And while we know the fourth commandment clearly states, 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yah, thy Elohim. And that's the fourth commandment, Exodus 20:9 through 10. Well, not understanding translation days has led to the false assumption that in a 30-day month, there are a total of 9 days between the seventh-day Sabbath on the 29th of one month and the next seventh-day Sabbath on the 8th of the new month. And this appears to create a problem because that time span is greater than the 6th workday interval between Sabbaths prescribed in the fourth commandment. However, because new moons are a type of holy day, there are never more than 6 work days in between worship days. So what do you do on new moon day and transition day? You have a day 30 and then a day 1.
New moons have no corresponding day in the Gregorian calendar, with its months divorced from anything in nature. Thus, many people are confused over what to do on the new moon or how to observe it. Scripture reveals several things about the observance. Quote, in the time of the earliest prophets, the new moon stood in the same line with another lunar observance, the Sabbath, that from Scribner's Dictionary of the Bible. Well, first point is new moons were non-commerce days. 2, new moons were days of worship. 3, new moons were days of thanksgiving.
So as the new moon begins the new weekly cycle for the new month, translation days are not part of that weekly cycle, even though they are a day with a date. Translation days, which are always the 30th on a lunar month, can never be transferred to the next month or counted as a date in the new month. Yah has always clearly specified by name or date which days are to be kept holy. Thus, all days that are not specifically designated as holy days are work days. So there are never more than 6 work days in between rest. New moons are worship days.
The assumption that there will be too many work days between Sabbaths comes from not understanding that the new moon itself is a worship day that starts a new cycle of 4 weeks, 6 work days each, followed by a 7th-day Sabbath. As the new moon begins the new weekly cycle for the new month, translation days are not part of that weekly cycle, even though they are a day with a date. Translation days, which are always the 30th on a lunar month, can never be transferred to the new month or counted as a date in the new month, because the next month always starts with New Moon Day, which is the day following Translation Day. With the new moon, a new cycle of 4 weeks begins. Interestingly, this confusion always arises among those in the West who have only ever known a calendar with a continuous weekly cycle. In countries that use lunar calendation for their religious calendars, it is an easy concept to grasp.
So Yah's holy convocations, including new moons, are a time for renewed commitment to the Creator, a time to slow down, acknowledge the Father's gifts of family, friends, and other blessings. New moons bring a blessing to all who will set aside this time to acknowledge the blessings of Yah, and they will be kept throughout all eternity as the saved rejoice in the endless blessings of the loving Creator.
Yahweh's biblical calendar calculated from the new moon, Isaiah 66:23. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, all flesh shall come to worship before me, saith Yahweh.
So, yes, we are so glad to present this today and to access more information about when is New Moon Day, when does the year begin, when does the day begin. There's more information there about translation days and so much more on our website, and I hope you'll go check it out, lunarsabbathday.com. So thank you so much for being here today.